A former Texas inmate is now coming out with a cookbook of all the last meals he's prepared for death row inmates while they're in jail.
Never have thought about who cooks the last meal for condemned prisoners. Phil Schuman found the answer in the Lone Star State.
They call it the death chamber, last stop for dead man walking in the state of Texas. But before the lethal injection on this table, the condemned are allowed a final moment of pleasure.
One guy wanted his birthday cake. He was executed on his birthday.
It's the fabled last meal served up in this solitary cell just a few feet from where it all ends.
There's been some men that just whooped down the food and just, wow, see, that was really great. You know, they sent compliments over here, said, tell the guy who cooked it, it was really great.
The guy who cooked it is this man, Brian Price, chef and inmate here at Huntsville Prison. He's got an unusual job for a convict, preparing last meals for Texas killers, nearly 200 of them since 1992, including pickaxe murderer Carla Faye Tucker, executed here amidst much fanfare in 1998.
She wanted a fruit plate.
That's it?
That's it.
And Brian's given his unusual assignment an unusual twist, developing some exclusive death row recipes, like the special chili he plans to market on the outside under the name Old Sparky.
I'm going to make it in 5,000, 10,000, and 20,000 volts of spiciness.
In fact, it's all written up in his own cookbook called Meals to Die For. Are there special ingredients that you've concocted here, or is it just the name that's unusual?
Well, like the gallows gravy that is on the top of it, it's all my own recipe.
A secret.
Well, I'd tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
It's not funny in here. Don't ask for caviar and champagne on death row. You only get what's on hand in the prison kitchen, where Brian also helps with the daily meals. I think they need to be done a little more. The most common last meal request, Brian's chopping block cheeseburger and fries. According to the Department of Corrections website, one condemned man actually gobbled up 24 tacos, another 15 slices of cheese, another 14 jalapeno peppers.
One guy said, you can give my meal one said he wanted dirt. He got yogurt instead.
Brian was a rock and roller before being sentenced to 15 years for assaulting his ex-wife. But his future seems bright as a self-made chef. He's expected to be released in 2004. Till then, he plans to keep on cooking for the condemned, though sometimes, he says, it's not easy.
When it gets close to the time they're going to be executed, I'm looking the last few minutes and I start thinking, well, the juices start flowing in his veins right now. Then I'll lay up there in my bunk and I'll roll over, and about 30 minutes later I'll watch the hearse roll by with the man in there, and I get to thinking, wow.
Price says one of the reasons he wanted to write the book was to shed more light on what a condemned person goes through.
Another San Antonian. He's an inmate who, although is not on death row, cooks for the condemned. Paul Venema reports it's a job this chef takes with a grain of salt and a pinch of humor.
So I do it with all my heart. And what I have to work with, I put out the very best meal that I possibly can for them. After all, it's going to be their last meal on earth.
A convicted burglar, Brian Price, has been cooking for the condemned for almost 10 years. There has been only one time he refused to prepare a last meal. He would not serve Leo Narvaez.
He killed little Shannon and Martha and Ernest Jr. and Jennifer Mann, who were from my side of town. These are some of my daughter's friends.
Of the 100 last meals ordered, the requests run from nothing to the absurd. His most unusual...
Dirt. He got yogurt instead, though. The other one, I don't recall, he wanted temperance, grace, and mercy. Another man said to give his last meal to a homeless person.
As depressing as all this sounds, there is a lighter side to this.
Like when someone orders steak, they get a prison prime cut.
So it's hamburger meat with one egg, Worcestershire sauce, minced onions, salt, pepper, and garlic, and then served with brown gravy.
Tastes like steak.
Yes, sir.
That'll be among the recipes recipes Price hopes to publish.
I started writing a book on this whole thing last year. I call it Meals to Die For.
What would those meals be?
Post-mortem potato soup. I put these little dark names on the recipes for my book. Things like that. Gallows gravy, Old Sparky's genuine convict chili.
Price doesn't consider the humor in poor taste. It's just his way of coping.
I've got to have a little dark humor in it, too, or it'd probably make me crazy.
In Huntsville, Paul Venema, KSAT 12.
A former Texas inmate is now coming out with a cookbook of all the last meals he's prepared for death row inmates while they're in jail. See, only men would buy a stupid cookbook like this. Honey, let me cook dinner for you. Look, this is the last thing they gave Gary Gilmore before they shot him. I think you'll enjoy it.